secrets, trivia, onto the agenda of British News. It topped the bulletins for ages.
That's
and when
an editorial decision that you can agree with or disagree with. I think many other outlets, news outlets at the time, ran that story quite a lot because it was a big story. There's nothing anti-British about it. It's news.
It often gets called the echo chamber. What they do is they strategically create the echo, where they get people on. I mean, the Today programme is wonderful for this. The way they gear the questions, all their leading questions, to get one line, and when they get the line they want, they feed it around all of their other stations and all of their other outlets. They are not the same BBC that we had. They need to be closed down. They're despised in this country. The only reason we can't get out the message how despised they are is because they're the people saying, well, if we upset people on both sides, then we're doing something right. It's nonsense. You could actually just look at the bloggers on YouTube to know there is mountains of talent out there. The idea that
actually, the last time I checked, Rick, there's a competitor radio station of ours that is putting on air YouTube bloggers.
Well, in other words, the BBC, the actual...
Do you want to listen to the radio to hear YouTube bloggers?
I'm just talking about the talent.
And you mentioned the talent on YouTube, and I'm saying, well, you'd love it there because they're putting YouTube talent, bloggers and vloggers onto the radio now. Is that what you want to hear when you put the radio on?
There's too many of them. I mean, I'm not talking about specific blogs. I'm just saying the sheer talent, the quality, if you actually look around, is out there. But if you talk about this, I think you don't want to name names, but John Humphreys, when he came on there, that man has been giving leading questions. They all do it on radio for on that Today programme, but they do leading questions. They push people in the direction.
John Humphreys was one of the people who, when he left the BBC to join, I'm delighted to say, Classic FM, he came out and said that the BBC has too much of a small L liberal mindset, that it is too closeted in its view and it needs to open its eyes sometimes. He was a critic of the thinking within the BBC rather than a sort of a propagandist for it. So I would have thought, Rick, you might spend more time agreeing with what John Humphreys has said about the BBC rather than disagreeing with some of his lines of questioning on the Today programme over 30-odd years, a Today programme whose listenership is falling. 0345 6060 973. More calls in a moment. Tom Swarbrick on LBC 1047.
Back for its third year.
And the winner is
the Global Awards 2020. LBC and its sister stations are joining together to bring you an unforgettable awards night.
ever thought it was a good idea. I think there are some questions that should be asked. But one thing that people do go on about, and that is passenger miles. We do need more seats. And I reckon for a modest amount of money, quite expensive, but still modest, we could enlarge the tunnels and put the American or Canadian double-decker carriages on the rails.
It's going to be a massive job, isn't it?
There aren't that many tunnels. There are tunnels. The gantries will have to be raised. But I mean, when you're looking at 106,000 millions.
Yeah, it's a big number.
Enlarging a few tunnels, raising the electric gantries, and possibly making alterations to stations. That's not such a...
Okay, but wouldn't you have to replace all of the track? I mean, everything I keep hearing, and I'm not a rail expert, you know, I used to have a Hornby set, but I'm not a rail expert, so I only take at face value what I read online or indeed in some of the newspapers and indeed some experts. But I'm led to believe that, you know, particularly in the north, and I know we're a London radio station, but this is about a link from London up to Manchester and indeed beyond, that a lot of the rails, particularly when you get into the Midlands and beyond, you know, a lot of the rails are still from the Victorian era. We're using stuff that's 200 years old plus, and I mean, your idea of running these double-decker things, which is a lovely idea, but wouldn't we have to replace the entire rail network?
I don't know. I'm just not enough of an expert. It may be the gauge is wrong.
Yeah.
The gauge might have to be wider, but you know, they don't go in tight circles. They don't. They have very gently banked circles. That's a technical question that would have to be answered. The gauge could be an issue.
Yes.
But I certainly think we could have carriages built that are effectively double-decker. Maybe not fully double-decker, but the idea is there.
Okay, and we often hear when we talk about HS2, and we heard it today from the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, Labour politician, the north of England rail system really needs some investment and stuff. If we were to put aside this idea of running from London to Birmingham and then up further into northeast and north